Welcome to episode 71 of Everything Sports with Aman and Evan. I'm your host, Aman Nadkarni,
I'm your co-host, Evan Garber.
and we talk about the hottest topics in sports over the course of the past week. And in today's episode, we're going to talk about the Jaylen Brown extension, say what we think about that, and then talk about the running back situation around the league because not many running backs got paid. And then we're going to talk about the Herbert extension. He got a bag that the running backs didn't, obviously. And then we'll round off the episode over there. Hopefully, more shorts will be posted soon. Obviously, we're sorting out schedules and everything. And so make sure to follow us on all social media platforms so you don't miss any content from us. You see them on screen. Everything Sports with Aman and Evan. So without further ado, let's get it started. Jaylen Brown got a 5-year, 304 guaranteed deal. And it was just crazy to hear because I feel like most people's ideas and views on the extension, they were the Celtics, as in they gave Brown maybe 15, 20 more million than I honestly thought he was worth. And to be honest, I respect players getting their bag. Like we're seeing running backs in the NFL not being able to get paid. And then Jaylen Brown, he's getting $52 million in his first year. I forget the breakdown, but $69 million in his last year. And obviously it's a 60 million plus $1 million per year. That's just crazy to me. I feel like he could be somewhat of a main option if you surround him with the right pieces, but on the Celtics, he's the second option. And for him to get paid like the richest contract in NBA history, I remember Mike Conley's was 5 years, 153. We thought that was crazy. Mike Conley was the main guy on Memphis at the time. Jaylen Brown's not even the main dude on the Celtics. Obviously, we have debates, Brown or Tatum, and obviously Brown had a career year, but I think 5 years, 304s, and they could rise to 314 or whatever. I think that amount of money is just insane to me because the Celtics are even going to have to pay Jason Tatum that same exact bag pretty much, similar contract, pretty soon. And so now you're tying yourself to those two players who are very elite, don't get me wrong, but Tatum, I don't know if Tatum's worth the 60 million a year he's going to get. I think he's worth maybe in today's money 45, 50 million, and Jaylen Brown is worth 5, $10 million less than that. And what's your opinion on the Jaylen Brown deal?
With everything you said, it just seemed like extreme overpay, especially for a guy like you said, his own second option on his own team. And don't get me wrong, he's a very good player, but when you're talking about that much money, $60 million a year, that's just absolutely insane. Richest contract in NBA history. Definitely does not deserve, in my opinion, to go to Jaylen Brown. All due respect to him, but he's not even the best, not even close to the best player in the NBA right now. Probably not even top 10, not even top 15, maybe. Like, you can keep going and going. It's just not worth the $60 million that he is getting paid right now. He had a career year last year in terms of points, but three-point percentage is way down to 33.5% compared to his 36.5% the rest of his career. And then the free throw percentage also is not as strong as you want it to be for a guy who's getting paid $60 million. It's only at 76.5 last year, which obviously is not great, but he gives you really great play on both ends of the floor, which I think is why he could be worth this big contract. He obviously gets you buckets on one end, but also plays very, very good defense on another end. Um, he hasn't been the defensive guy on his team since he's been in the league mostly because he's had Smart for a while now, who has been the main defender. But now with Smart out, he might be relied on as the defender, the guy to guard the Steph Currys of the league. So we could see him be worth that if he can live up to his defensive prowess and guard those Steph Currys, guard those Kevin Durant's. guard all those great players that you're gonna need him to guard now with Marcus Smart out.
Yeah, I agree. And another thing is, there's only a handful of players I'd give this contract to. Like, honestly, it could have been any other player than Jaylen Brown. Like, it's not even Giannis. It's not even Jokic. It's not even Steph. Like, Jokic, Giannis, Steph when he was in the middle of his prime, and LeBron in his prime. Those are the only four players I would give this the contract Jaylen Brown just got to. Because, like, even Luka, he needs to stay healthy. There's some concerns with that. Tatum, everyone will say Tatum, but those four players, when it's time to be elite, they're the only ones that are extremely elite no matter what. And I just feel like, obviously, Curry's not going to get it. Curry's still the highest paid player in the NBA this upcoming season, but obviously he's not going to get 60 mil a year because he's towards the end of his career. He might get like a 1, 2 year deal and then retire whatever with the Warriors like later on and obviously a few seasons. But I just think, especially this offseason as a whole, there's so many players just getting paid big time, man. I know it's something about revenue losses or whatever, they need to pay players, but like the Celtics were risking losing Jaylen Brown, but I think you easily could have gotten Brown for 40, 45 million. And honestly, if it didn't work out, then you could trade him and surround Jason Tatum, you could still be a contender. And obviously they complement each other, but I feel like you could have traded Jaylen Brown if he didn't accept the 40, $45 million. Like 45 million is what I'd pay him at the best because, or like anywhere 45 to 50 would be kind of an overpay, but that's when I'd be like, ah, I understand. But 60 million a year, that was like, maybe the Celtics were thinking that if they didn't offer it, Brown was going to walk for free. And you have the Rockets. They gave Van Vliet 40 plus million a year, Dylan Brooks $20 million a year, Jock Landale $8 million a year. Jeff Green is now on the Rockets, so they've surrounded themselves with great vets and stuff, but teams are just handing out money, it seems, this offseason. And in sports in general, you have NFL quarterbacks getting paid, you have Mbappe in soccer getting offered $776 million in 1 year. And I saw something where the third league behind the main Saudi Pro League in Saudi Arabia, to build up soccer, they're offering up and coming players who normally get paid 100K a year while they're in the lower leagues. They're offering them a supercar, a house, and $425,000 a year just to play in like a lower division league as you're up and coming. So teams are just throwing out money, it seems, across sports. What is your reaction to all of this?
Great for the athletes, obviously, to get these bags. But it, I mean, part of it obviously is due to inflation and just the world we're living in. The money just value just keeps going up and up and up. It's gonna keep being like this for a long, long, long time. I mean, at this rate, we honestly just could end up seeing like billion-dollar contracts given out at some point way down the line, obviously. But it really could be heading that way with what we're seeing. Uh, it's kind of crazy to me, obviously, because there are obviously other jobs that we've seen that we know of that definitely deserve the money way, way more than these professional athletes do. Of course, these athletes do for entertainment. They're putting their bodies on the line for our entertainment, but there's so many other jobs like the front line. They deserve this money way, way more than these athletes do. And I mean, athletes obviously they're just chasing their bag. They're just doing what they're supposed to be doing to help their families out. But I just think that it would be a lot better if we saw other people getting paid bags rather than these athletes.
Yeah, that's true. I get what you're saying in a way. Like the players getting these bags, I don't want to say it's the wrong player because like Jaylen Brown, he's been like one of those responsible players, unlike John Moran and other people who use money for wrong reasons. I just feel like I mentioned, this the contract. Steph deserves it. LeBron deserves it. Jokic deserves it. Giannis deserves it. Only those four players, like I said. But let us know your thoughts on the Jaylen Brown deal in the comments below. We're going to shift to the NFL world for the rest of this episode, talk about the running backs, Justin Herbert. Let's start with running backs. Austin Eckler was supposed to get paid. Josh Jacobs was supposed to get paid. Saquon Barkley was supposed to get paid. Like, those are just the three most notable running backs that were supposed to get paid. We saw Dalvin Cook be released. Obviously, people are predicting a huge dip in his production, which might be true. And like in fantasy, everywhere he's ranked extremely low than the normal like top 15, top 20 draft pick that Dalvin Cook normally is. But you have him getting released, Ezekiel Elliott not even being on a team, even though he could give you like red zone touches or something like that. And I just, it's such, running backs are such an important position in the league because you can have all the receivers you want, all the tight ends that you want. A quarterback will throw to them, but if the throwing game's not working, then how are you going to run? Like, there's that too. And Barkley, I believe, took a 1 year, $11 million deal to stay with the Giants. So now he's going to be playing. Josh Jacobs could potentially hold out for a new contract. It could be positive, it could be negative, because we saw an example of Melvin Gordon hold out. He came back, struggled, and then lost out on tons of money. And so you have that situation going on. He's actually encouraging Jacobs not to hold out. I mean, it's true. I think Henry, Chubb, or Eckler, I forget which running back said this. You can get 2,000 rush yards and 20 touchdowns in a season, and the only thing people are going to say is, well, his body's going to be worn out. He can't do that next season. And they have the shortest lifespan out of any NFL position, but a lot of players love playing the running back position because of those touchdowns, because of those yards, but in turn, you would think you would get a huge contract after insane years, which Josh Jacobs had, which Saquon Barkley had. Like, the Giants are a great example. They gave Daniel Jones way too much money to keep him in New York when that money should have gone to Saquon, to be honest, because Saquon Barkley is more important to the Giants than Daniel Jones is to the Giants. And I think that's fair to say. Daniel Jones, he did have a breakout year, but Saquon Barkley has been the franchise guy for the Giants, and I don't know why they're painting it like Daniel Jones is the one. He might be a great quarterback, but Saquon Barkley is more important. Josh Jacobs didn't get paid. We'll see what happens with him, but it's sad because running backs are such an important position to the game, and if you take out the running back position, then it's going to be a problem for the league because the passing game does not work every single time. And McCaffrey, he's had injury history. Now he played a full season. And you got Chubb, you got Henry, who's been getting some nagging injuries over the years. He's still elite. You got all these elite running backs. Unfortunately, 2 to 3 years from now, people are just going to be saying, oh, they're towards the end of their career. And that's why so many running backs retire early. Todd Gurley is the perfect example. He was such an elite running back with the Rams. And because of all that contact, he got injured, went to the Falcons, didn't really work out, and he's not on a team anymore. So it's just unfortunate that, I mean, they put their bodies on the line more than any other position. I feel like maybe they still put their body on the line, like absorb a lot of contact, way more contact than other positions. And they don't get paid as much as they should, and it's unfortunate to see, really. What is your opinion on the running back situations?
See, but I just feel like it's really understandable from a business standpoint because, after all, sports is a business, and the teams are just trying to keep their money where it's best fit. And I know that, of course, Saquon, he's a big part of his team, without him, the offense is not very strong. And of course, Jacobs, he was a big part of his team last year, and will probably be a big part of his team this year if he does indeed play because Jimmy does need that running back, I think, and running back that he can rely on in order to strive in an offense, even if he does have Devontae Adams on his team. He's just needs that running game to just hand off a few times because he's not going to touch the ball deep like most quarterbacks might. Devontae Adams, he's just that's just not how he plays. But yeah, unfortunately, it is really really sad. But like you said, so many injuries for these running backs. Their careers are just super short now, and unfortunately, that's just the way it has to be for these guys. Like yeah, they're really really good for their team. Yeah, but at the same time, they're getting torn apart over and over and over again. And it just you have to think about it from a business standpoint for the team and just keep your money where it makes the most sense for the team because in 2 years you could be paying a guy $40 million just to be injured and just not be as productive as he is right now, and you don't want that down the line.
Yeah, I agree definitely with what you're saying. Like it's just unfortunate to see, but like you said, I do get the business side of it. And then quarterbacks getting paid, Justin Herbert getting the bag. I feel like this is obviously a great move for the Chargers. He's their franchise guy. They drafted a weapon for him because Keenan Allen, he was on the older side getting hurt. Mike Williams will occasionally get hurt. So I think Chargers did well, but I mean, it's time to make some noise because Herbert is elite, puts up all the stats, and I believe, was it 27-0 they were up against the Jaguars and then choked it away. Like, that's either a coaching and a player issue, one of the two. So with Herbert locked in to San Diego for at least another 5, 6 years, this they have to make it to the playoffs at some point. Obviously, they're in a tough division. I do expect Russell Wilson and the Broncos to bounce back. Obviously, like I said, the Chargers are there. I do expect the Raiders to make more noise than they did last season because they struggled and then as a result missed the playoffs by a game. We'll see how they do with Jimmy G, but they absolutely need Josh Jacobs. They need to find a way maybe to give him like a 3 year, whatever, 3 year deal. If you're worried about his health, then just give him like a 3 year deal, but give him the money that he wants. He's important to the team because Jimmy Garoppolo is a slight downgrade from Derek Carr. You signed Jacoby Myers to pair next to Devontae Adams. You did lose Darren Waller, and then obviously the Chiefs are probably going to rule that division for years to come. So you're in a tough division, but I still fully expect the Chargers to make some noise this upcoming season and seasons in the future. What do you think?
For the Chargers, of course, you needed to lock him up because he is the main piece on that team. You need him to win, especially like you said with uh, Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. They're getting hurt a lot, and then of course Eckler. Everyone thinks that he's due for a decline at some point soon because he's running back, and that's just it's dual threat running back, and dual threat running backs just normally don't last very long. But yeah, like you said, it's going to be really really tough for them. The division is very very strong. Every team can compete, especially in the AFC. The AFC is just a whole different gauntlet than the NFC. Have to go through Mahomes, obviously have to go through Josh Allen, have to go through Joe Burrow, but Herbert can compete with them, but they just need to stay healthy and just need those extra weapons for Herbert so that he can indeed strive. And then, of course, the defense needs to stay healthy as well. The defense, they have some very, very good pieces, but like I said, if the team can just stay healthy, this team can and probably will compete and not blow a 27-0 lead like they did last time.
Yeah, I mean, they got to figure out something. But thank you guys for tuning in this week to episode 71 of Everything Sports with Aman and Evan. Follow us on the social media platforms on screen. Thank you for listening on Spotify and Apple or watching on YouTube. Have a great week. See you next week.